another Tools of the Trade, and today I'm going to be focusing on a very underrated tool for how important it is: thread. Thread is a tool that is absolutely crucial to creating costumes, and yet we don't really seem to talk about it much. I'll admit I'm not too much of a thread snob, so this will be a shorter video, but it is still important. What you need to know about thread is that it is not actually a single strand. Thread is actually tiny strands woven together, and some thread is very fibrous and linty, and as it goes through your sewing machine, it's going to leave behind a lot of residue that can build up in your machine, which is why it's really important to clean your machine, as I show in another video. Now, thread, there's kind of a hierarchy of thread out there. At the bottom of the hierarchy is, let me see, do I even have any? Oh, here it is. This guy. This is our friend Coats & Clark. And I'm not sponsored by any thread, but Coats & Clark is kind of acknowledged as the cheap thread. It's your bargain bin thread. You buy it at Walmart. You can get it at Joann. The only time I get Coats & Clark is if I'm desperate. Only if I'm desperate do I get Coats & Clark. Otherwise, I always get Gutermann. Now, once again, I am not much of a thread snob. Gutermann isn't that high-end either. It is above Coats & Clark, but it's not superior threads. In fact, there's a website called Superior Threads, and apparently their thread is amazing. The hard thing about amazing thread is that it's really hard to find locally. My Joann, I know, stocks Coats & Clark, Gutermann, and Sulky, and that's it. Gutermann has a really great color selection, so I use them. I do use Sulky sometimes. This is a Sulky, and this is a Sulky. Sulky thread has really great metallics. I get a lot of my metallics from Sulky, but they are a very thin thread that breaks really easily. So I usually only use it for decorative things, not actually for making a seam. So Gutermann is my go-to. I fall back on Coats & Clark if I have to. Other top brands though, let's see, do I have any? What are you? Other top brands are Mettler. Mettler is supposed to be pretty good. I can find Mettler at my local specialty store if I really want some Mettler. There's also Aurifil, Specialty Threads, and there's a whole bunch of threads out there, but just be aware that if you use a cheaper thread, you are going to have to clean your machine more, whereas a more expensive thread isn't going to be as linty, so as it goes through your machine, it won't leave as much residue, and your machine will keep kicking longer. But as for me, I use Gutermann. I've always used Gutermann. I think it's a great brand. I do clean out my machine regularly, and I haven't had any problems. So hopefully this made you just a little more aware of what's out there in thread world, but you don't have to be a super thread snob to keep doing some happy crafting.